of Worship, your source for commentary and discussion on worship, theology, and culture. I'm your host, Dr. Jonathan Michael Jones.
Welcome to the Act of Worship podcast. This is Dr. Jonathan Michael Jones. Thank you for joining me as we continue this journey through the book of Psalms in the Psalm Project. And we are here today at Psalm 88, which is titled A Song. It is a psalm of the sons of Korah. It says, to the choir master, according to Mahalath, Leonath, a maskil of Haman the Ezrahite. So that last part is instructions as to the tune or the resource that it would have been used for this psalm in the context of a worship gathering. Psalm 88 is kind of an interesting psalm. I did set it in a minor key, and that is because it is a lament. But it is a different type of lament than what we have seen here. The psalm is probably the most depressing of all the laments in the Psalter. And the writer's distress can be heard from the beginning to the end because his pain has lasted from his youth. We see that in verse 15 where it says, afflicted and close to death from my youth up. And so he has been afflicted from his youth till the present time. Most laments in the book of Psalms turn, as you have seen already, they turn to confidence and praise at the end. But this one, there's only a glimmer of hope. And really, the psalmist is concerned to even pray at all. And he refers to God, though, as my salvation in verse 1. A Christian is not exempt from suffering. Actually, we are told that we will suffer. And the Christian community is often suffering and in pain. And we can't hope to escape all suffering, but we find solace in the suffering and the resurrection of Christ. As we're told in Philippians 3:10, the Apostle Paul says that I may know him in the power of his resurrection and may share his sufferings, becoming like him in his death. So even though we suffer, we have a different hope than the rest of the world. So let me read for you Psalm 88 and we'll get into breaking this down. Psalm 88. O Lord God of my salvation, I cry out day and night before you. Let my prayer come before you. Incline your ear to my cry. For my soul is full of troubles and my life draws near to Sheol. I am counted among those who go down to the pit. I am a man who has no strength, like one set loose among the dead, like the slain that lie in the grave, like those whom you remember no more. For they are cut off from your hand. You have put me in the depths of the pit, in the regions dark and deep. Your wrath lies heavy upon me, and you overwhelm me with all your waves. You have cursed my companions to shun me, or you have caused my companions to shun me. You have made me a horror to them. I am shut in so that I cannot escape. My eye grows dim through sorrow. Every day I call upon you, O Lord. I spread out my hands to you. Do you work wonders for the dead? Do the departed rise up to praise you? Is your steadfast love declared in the grave, or your faithfulness in abandon? Are your wonders known in the darkness, or your righteousness in the land of forgetfulness? But I, O Lord, cry to you. In the morning my prayer comes before you. O Lord, why do you cast my soul away? Why do you hide your face from me? Afflicted and close to death, from my youth up, I suffer your terrors. I am helpless. Your wrath has swept over me. Your dreadful assaults destroy me. They surround me like a flood all day long. They close in on me together. You have caused my beloved and my friend to shun me. My companions have become darkness. Okay, so very downcast and depressing psalm here. The first thing that stands out to me is the reference to Sheol, and we have seen this quite a bit in the book of Psalms. Verse 3, my soul is full of troubles and my life draws near to Sheol. This is the place of the dead, the grave. Verse 5. Like one set loose among the dead. In other words, the psalmist's condition is here is so bad that people treat him as if he were already dead. Verse 8. You have caused my companions to shun me. You have made me a horror to them. The psalmist's unhappiness is reminiscent of the suffering of Job here. Verse 9. My eye grows dim through sorrow. Every day I call upon you, O Lord. I spread out my hands to you. So this is an attitude of prayer, spreading out his hands. Even though God afflicts him, or perhaps because God afflicts him, the psalmist knows that there is only one refuge for him, and that is God himself. Verse 10. He calls into question. He says, do you work wonders for the dead? In other words, can the dead praise you? I mean, there really is no point. Similar to Psalm 6 and verse 5 where it says, for in death there's no remembrance of you. In Sheol, who will give you praise? In other words, death or my condition is pointless. Why is this happening to me? Verse 17. They surround me like a flood. Water is often used as a figure of speech in the book of Psalms to represent trouble and chaos, and that's what's happening here. Verse 18, you have caused my beloved and my friend to shun me. My companions have become darkness. His closest friends have abandoned him. We saw that in verse 8. And God is distant. We see this in verse 14. O Lord, why do you cast my soul away? Why do you hide your face from me? And so this leaves only darkness nearby. This is the only psalm that ends on such a downcast note. And so another reminder that when we are praying to God, when we are worshiping, we can be honest with him. He can handle it, and not only can he handle it, but he already knows it. So we can be honest and question, God, why is this happening? It feels as if you are not here, that you are far away, that you have cast me away. And that's how the psalmist feels here, this desperate plea and this desperate cry. So I have set this in a minor key, makes for a great setting for this type of text. And so without any further ado, here is Psalm 88 set to music. Thank you for listening today to the Active Worship Podcast. This is Dr. Jonathan Michael Jones.
My salvation you, O God, supplied. All day and night before you I have cried. Oh, let my prayer before your presence arise. Your ear inclined to hear my pleading cries. My soul is full of anxious cares and gloom. My weary life draws near the silent tomb. I count as those that to the pit descend. I'm like the man whose strength is at an end. As one cast off among the dead am I. I'm like the slain ones, a grave I lie, whom you do not remember anymore. Cut off from your hand were none restored. By you within the lowest pit I'm laid, in deeps and in the place of darkest shade. On me your anger pressed down heavily, and all your breaking waves afflicted me. My former friends you have estranged from me. Yes, their abhorrence you have made me be. Shut up, am I imprisoned, here must stay. distress, my eyes both waste away. Oh Lord, I've daily called upon your name. Spread forth my hands, your gracious help to claim. Will you your wonders make the dead to know? And shall the dead arise, your praise to show? Shall your great love be in the grave extolled? Your faithfulness be in destruction told? In darkness will your wonders be confessed? Where memories fade, who knows your righteousness? But unto you, O Lord, for help I've cried. My prayer shall raise to you with morning light. O Lord, why cast my soul away from you? Why do you keep your face hid from my view? From youth I've been distressed, about to die. Your terrors I have borne, distraught was I. Your burning anger over me has passed. Your terrors all have cut me off at last. All day like floods your terrors round me surged. They cover me, by them I've been submerged. By you I am all of my friends bereft. And those who love me are in darkness left.